Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I have good news. I am on a new PC. The bad news is it means that some of my OBS settings did not come over. So that was chaotic and confusing. It's something when I was trying to copy and restore settings, apparently it bound to the wrong NIC and I couldn't get it to connect and yada, yada, yada. I think we're working now. Which claims I'm live. Which is probably good enough for me. So, welcome back, everyone. I'm going to apologize up front. I may be a little tired tonight. I got awakened several hours earlier than normal and had to make an emergency trip to the ER. Don't worry, everyone's fine. We are good. But it means I am running on several hours less sleep than I normally am of my Mountain Dews. So we'll be plugging along and we'll see how well we do because oh boy, I have been dragging all afternoon and it is not getting better. So, with that said, I also don't have my fancy buttons set. So, I'm very happy for it. I can hear and see you, so you must be okay without issues. Excellent. If I can get all the way across the pond, I can't be doing that bad. Okay. First of all, this week, Tuesday. What day is today? Thursday for me. Great. Or Friday, depending on where you are, according to the date lines. Bocan.net user group. Dan had a really great presentation on actually building MCP servers. So I know, I think it was last stream or the one before it, we kind of got on a little track of some AI stuff and leveraging it for different things. And I know I've done a little bit of talking on MCP related things and similar. So if people are interested in building them, Dan's got a really great presentation. I loved it. He's been doing a bunch in his day job for some clients of ours, helping them build it. And so this was kind of a consolidation of all of his learning and knowledge and dumping that in. Related, if you like what Dan is doing, he has his own YouTube channel as well. So I got to plug that because just starting out, he needs some help, and he does a good job. So if you are interested, give that a follow. And then on the .NET user group stuff, I'm gonna keep plugging links as we're going. Up and coming. So let's see. I believe next month in April, it is going to be on the Microsoft testing platform MTP. Probably a little T unit sprinkled in there. And then that's April, and then May. I think it's going to be called a practical hands-on AI type presentation. I think we're going to split it up between a few of us. Rather than just talking about it, actually like showing daily workflows that each of us are using. We were talking and we just realized that a lot of us are using it in very different ways. And so it might be nice to just go through and kind of show off how we're all leveraging different pieces of it to be able to show, hey, this is how I'm doing it, this is how you're doing it, trade information. So if you're interested, there's the meetup link to go through and grab them. Izzy, I will apologize because they are probably midnight 30 for you. They start 5 p.m. Pacific, which I'm fairly confident because that's an 8-hour difference. That's like 1 a.m. So that's probably not good for you. But you can catch the recordings. They'll be up on the Intelitech channel for those, and then obviously Dan's channel if you want the stuff that he's putting out. He's been doing a lot of shorts recently. He's built a lot of Aspire related stuff. So people who may have liked my Aspire video 1 or 2 streams back, Dan's got a ton of cool Aspire stuff that he's been going over. So really great. We keep trading off information off of each other. So I'll probably still watch the Formula One at a time. Cool. And then Izzy, my thought is probably in the next stream or two, I want to get back to working on the Enigma app. I can only watch that when everyone goes to bed. Yeah, no, I get it. So I think another stream or two, and then I'm probably going to try to dive back in. I'm probably going to spend a little time outside of it trying to lay some groundwork and get it going now that we kind of have something there. Remind me, I'll follow up with you. I was going to ask about what models we had in similar, since that's kind of going to be a key component of all of this. But since I kind of have like two little samples that are very disjointed, kind of pulling all those things together, I feel like would be a worthwhile path. I think that's it. Okay. So tonight, promise WPF. There is a handful of WPF things I want to get. Got way too many. We may come back to this project. I was trying to get one of my apps enabled for OIDC, but there is a material design PR that I saw come through from Nikolai earlier that I wanted to take a look at. I'm just pulling together details for all the versions. Great. Great, great, great. Yeah, because I saw your message earlier about it. And like I said, I kind of figured I would get started on trying to put some stuff together. Okay, so Nikolai's already put his PR in the milestone. Wonderful. I assume the issues on there. Great. Let's see. In a tab control triggers a target invocation exception at app shutdown when the WPF control is hosted inside a WinForm element host. Oh boy. Let's see. Note, one of them can use 15 rotors. Woo! Okay. Well, I'm glad we did that refactor then to make it an arbitrary number of them, because that should make it straightforward. I mean, straightforward. But dear heavens, 15 rotors. I assume that was the Navy. Because if I recall, when I was going through a bunch of history stuff, the Navy was the one that went crazy and decided that, immortal encryption wasn't good enough for us. We need more. No. Ooh. Okay, I might need a history lesson then. Who was crazy enough to go up to 15 rotors? Because that is a ton. So for anybody unaware, you should go and look up the history of an Enigma machine. The I think this is probably a reasonable image. That one doesn't really show it. There. So like these little guys here, right? Here's your rotors. There's 3, right? So just bear in mind, this was 3 was insane to try to crack. 15 is like a new level of crazy. I actually wonder, given how they broke it, I wonder if the number of rotors actually, well, I guess it would have made a difference. So, for anybody unfamiliar with it, fascinating, fascinating bit of history. Okay. Let's see. I've pushed a branch called Reproduce Issue, which has a WinForms demo showcasing the issue and the fix. The last commit on the branch is the same commit context as the fix in this PR. Simply revert that. If you want to see the error occurring in the application. Use case. The PR registers a handle source hook, which acts on the WM destroy and WMND destroy messages in order to clean up the handlers and unregister the hook to avoid memory leaks. Oh boy, Nikolai, you have gone advanced. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, we'll look at this real quick, and then we may go look at his branch real quick. Oh. Okay, so week event manager. So if anybody ever wants to know how to do week events, meaning something where the event registration doesn't keep the target element alive, this is the way you do it. At least in WPF. It's not a bad pattern. The Americans with their SIG AB. Well, I guess it makes sense if somebody's going to go off the deep. As an American, I get to say that. Do some reading on that now. Darn it, you have now destroyed my evening worse than it already was. Okay, so let's see. So 2 event handlers, both are wired up, one on loaded and one on unloaded, targeting the scroll viewer. Great. This is a remove handlers. Where is, why do we not have access modifiers defined on these things? Like I see they aren't defined there, so I'm a little curious why they aren't defined more. So in the case of WM destroy, remove the handlers, presentation source, remove hook. So functionally, the issue is we register up the hook and then we don't ever clean it up. Why this one goes through and deals with it. Oh, we got remove handlers and remove handlers. Why does this look duplicate? What am I missing? The local function, is that why there's no access modifiers? Might need to go. Oh, they're local functions. That's why. Look at that. That's why. Okay. They're local functions. Okay. Context matters. Let's see. Register hook. So presentation source, get from visual, feeds in the scroll viewer. Checks to make sure we actually get a handle source out of it. Great. If we get a handle source, grab the hook. How are we pulling this into a local? That only use. Oh, I see. Because this is so this is a delegate type. Okay, that makes more sense. So hook here, even though it looks like a property, is actually a delegate. Handle source hook is a delegate type. Source add hook registers delegate. Okay, got it. Add handler, mouse wheel event, pass. I believe this Boolean here is probably the one that also says and register for handled events so that you always see them. And a cleanup down here. Okay, let's go briefly take a glance at the branch. Should be up here. Reproduce issue. Let's see here. So this is adding in a basic WinForms. Let's see. Element host does the needful MDIX content. XAML. Am I blind or stupid? Where's the tab control? Does this reproduce without the tab control? Or maybe that it's probably added in the next. Add tab control. Look at that. There it is. Okay. That all makes sense. Then this guy here is what's actually doing it. I would like to see inline view. I want to see the context. So let's see. So this guy is registering the same hook, pulls it in, watches these two guys here. On either one, pulls this out, removes the hook. Okay. Also a local function. Very similar flow. Gets the handle source, adds the hook. The only thing that's interesting to me is this one keeps the hook alive by adding an attachment there. That's the only thing that's giving me a minor amount of pause. So what I am noticing, level's kind of tiny, is guy over is so down here you'll note we take the local function, convert it to a local variable, this delegate we call source add hook. Then we do scroll viewer add event handler, register up the event handler. We're all good, right? That's fine. Right? Same type of thing as what you would expect. This is the exact same line that was up above. One could argue we may want to still register. Don't find the handle source, but that's the potential leak. The part that is different for me is this one up here that's getting the source. it's actually storing that delegate that it creates. Is this line here, even though it's not obvious, this equal is functionally a new handle source hook pointed at this method pointer. Right? So this is creating a new reference. Source add hook. I wonder if source add hook keeps it alive. I don't know what. So because so the thing that I'm noticing, either this one is incorrectly also holding on to the delegate in an attached property, and it's causing an extra reference to it that we probably don't need, or this one should be doing the same thing, because if this add hook doesn't hold on to this delegate that it creates, after we leave here, this delegate falls out of scope and is available for garbage collection. So those are the two possibilities. Now, the fact that this worked for Nikolai makes me suspect that maybe the first one is wrong. That's my current thinking. So let's take a brief gander around here. Source.net, and let's go with spelunking. Let's go with spelunking. So this guy here should be add hook. Tired. My ability to remember things. Okay. The question is, where does this guy go, and does this thing get added in? Okay. Does the needful, and so the question is, where does this guy do with this guy? So this guy does a delegate combined, which takes these two delegates, combines them together into a new one. So now this is the reference that we care the most about. I am surprised that there's a null check. I wasn't aware delegate combine could return null. I guess it technically can return null if both parameters are null. Okay. That is a possibility. Okay. So combine delegate there. Gets the invocation list and then does an interlock compare exchange. Sorry, I just noticed the while true. What the heck is that doing? Oh, it's going to keep iterating and redoing this while the compare exchange returns the old tuple. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, that's once you get down into this level of the framework stuff, your worlds get interesting. Tuple delegate with the ARIA, this routine enables code to store a tuple of delegates in its invocation list. It was exactly like combining with the delegates, but the invocation list is also updated. Thread safety is maintained, just as with the code generated by the C# compiler. So this is functionally redoing what you get with plus equals on an event. JC, good morning. Good morning. We are currently looking at an open PR on the material design library. Then I've got get cracking stuff, and then I want to look at updating old PR I have Velopack for some WPF publishing. So that actually stores it in the field. This guy here actually holds on to it. I don't. I'm thinking that I'm thinking Nikolai did it correct, and I think it was me who did the other one is probably incorrect. Let's see, the hook to add. Looks like it's called. Yeah, so I am wondering. So I think the PR is fine. I'm now just wondering if there is an issue with this line here. Why did we date? Why did we create this if we don't need it? Because this looks like an attached property for the purpose of holding on to the reference for some reason. And we would only need that if we had to pull the reference back out. But the only thing we pull the reference back out for is the remove hook. So I do wonder if this is incorrect, though. Well, I yeah, I'm now torn. Let's see. Make that text bigger. Um, Sorry, Izzy. I'm hoping you're referring to the other web page. Which, yes, I apologize. This one I can make bigger. Um, the Kraken one is at their, unfortunately, at their maximum zoom. Disappointing. Um, because again, this is a subtle invocation. I don't remember how this works. Is this problematic? Okay. Well, the proof will be in the pudding. Let's just test. Let's. Oh, one other update that I forgot to. I put it out on the events in. Um, put it out on the events for the Discord. But this week I recorded an episode for the Microsoft Visual Toolbox, all on hot reload stuff in VS 2026. So if people are interested, it should be going live in the next couple of weeks. Uh, did I get a new 4K? No, no new monitors. So my new rig I actually bought a pre-built and then yanked apart parts from my old rig onto the new one because I was cheap. And so like I tried to buy it was cheaper for me to buy a pre-built than to buy the parts themselves. So I had the pre-built come with the cheapest graphics card I could come up with, and then I just yanked mine forward. Same with like the hard drive, my water cooler, a handful of other things. Um, but it's been good, but it means a lot of my settings have been reset. So where I normally would run things with a slightly bigger font size everywhere, yeah, I haven't gotten my fonts all adjusted. But again, VS Toolbox, or yeah, Visual Studio Toolbox, specifically with Leslie here. I had a great time doing it. I always enjoy talking with her. So it'll be a good one. There's I think a handful of tricks in there for hot reload stuff because hot reload has been a hot mess for a while. And with it's still not perfect, but it is with 2026 it got significantly better to where it's not complete trash. I will say if you are using the hot reload inside of like VS Code, um, I had like even for my demos because I was gonna demo VS Code 2, and then like, well, let's just keep it just to Visual Studio. I was like, that's fine. But VS Code, man, I just to get a demo working, I fought with that for a lot. Like, I had to walk a very thin line to get VS Code's hot reload properly. And I don't know if it's just because there's multiple moving pieces or what, but it was very, very difficult to get work proper. So, points to Visual Studio. Okay, so let's see, let's go through and let's test this. Um, because what I want to know, this might be easiest if I just copy the relevant code in a unit test, I think. Scroll view assist. Do this. So scroll view assist. Ba-ba-bum. Then we'll go that route. Izzy, how's that font size there for you? Is it visible? Unfortunately, font size is one of the things that does not sync with my Visual Studio profile, which is very disappointing to me. Same with window layout, because as soon as I got this new machine, the very first thing I had to do was drag my Solution Explorer onto the left where it belongs. because I'm a firm believer in that's where it goes, not on the right. Also, for people who are interested, the last weekend of this month in March, there will be no stream. I will post an update for it. I am going to be at a Microsoft conference the very last week, so I will be traveling. It's a bit better, thanks. Okay, let me know because I can keep going up. I can keep toggling. I don't mind running at a larger font size. Like I said, it's one of those new rig. I'm trying to figure out roughly where my font sizes were before. Okay, so I want to grab the hooky stuff. So we want something like this. Let's just go grab a test class. I don't know that we have a test for this yet. I just did a test class. Something, something of this nature. Delegate test. Okay. So the goal here is something like this. Private, and then we really don't need the contents are somewhat irrelevant, right? So really, what I am interested in is let's see, test public void delegate quality. That Copilot, you are an absolute. I want to use. Shouldn't make a difference for the purpose of this test, but I wanna make this thing look somewhat proper. Go back to Kraken. Much easier. Do 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 do. Go. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Looking for the that. That's what I want. That line right there. So, because functionally, what I want to know is there. I'm gonna do hook one and hook two, right? And insert that hook one. Wow, is equal to two. Right? I forgot T unit task. Here we go. Public async task. Surely. Ah, yes, JC. Thank you. Yes. Well, as usual, you are spot on point. Okay, so I something in the back of my head is reminding me that this actually passes. That these two things will in fact end up being equal. Just realized I don't see my little circle here. Let's explore. They are in fact equal. So I think the scroll viewer assist. I am curious why because they are equal. I don't know public event do the handle source hook event my event, right? So yeah, I understand you're unhappy, right? So if I do my event plus equals hook one, then I do my event minus equals hook two. That's not how you do a minus. And then await assert that my event is null. Copilot seems to think that it's true, so that makes me suspect. Yep, passes. Okay. Need to go back and reread the C# language spec on delegate equality. Sharp language delegates. So the delegate type. This one I actually want the actual language spec. C# language spec. There we go. Let's see here. It gets what I want to read. So section 21, and I think it's going to be here. So I will not bore people with it unless people would like to read it. There's the deep language spec. Because clearly I have forgotten, but it clearly works just fine. So Nikolai's code is perfect, and now I'm questioning if this code here is just trash, and if we can get rid of it. Because it's literally, there's these set values here, all to just call remove hook here, which is clearly not necessary. We hold on. I mean, I guess we do hold on to the source, which we don't quite have to do on this one. But we don't need the hook property. We would only need the source. Even then, where is source set? Source is the handle source from the visual, which I believe is going to be the same instance in both cases anyway. I think Nikolai's code is correct and the old wrong. That's what I think. Okay, so short version. Back this up. Let's see. If you interested, good to meet you. And then I was gonna reach out to Nikolai and Corvin's and see about doing a release as well. Now stacked up so a bunch of bug fixes and other related things in this milestone. Oh, okay. There is that. There's that. There's that. Okay, one more thing I need. Let's see. Because I was very excited. I was excited on Tuesday. I was excited on a day that was earlier this week that was not blurred together. There is a new Gitkraken version out. Very, very. Those people who care. So, if you want to grab the video, you can check it out there and see all of the kind of go through here. But I wanted to just call out a handful of these more exciting features that are in here. So one, pin branches to the left, right? So this is kind of this cluster of major stuff. But what we can do is we can go to where is the pin button? I should check. I am on the tab. Let's throw these changes away first of all. Go here, and we go pin to left, and we will do origin master. Just to make sure that we always have this guy available to us. Cool. So for like I imagine I'm going to end up using this largely for like my develop or my main branch or things that you're constantly wanting to be able to go through and do. And then go here, smart branch filtering mode. So be able to focus on the graph on the current branch and its related target upstreams. So I thought might have to. We might just have to jump into this real quick. You. Okay. Yep. Pin branch to left. Yep. Yep. We got that. Great. Where is the button for this? Oh, there it is. Okay. I knew it was up in there somewhere. I was clicking on the wrong spot. There we go. Smart branch visit. There. Okay. So for people who are unfamiliar with this kind of concept here, the idea is that inside of Kraken, you always have the ability to just use the little eyeball here to toggle things on and off, which is fine for getting rid of things out of your graph. But oftentimes, what you want is you actually want to uh, just see certain targeted branches, which oftentimes you end up using the solo feature. So, guy down here as a way of being able to say, no, 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 it's not all of the branches that I want to see. It's just this one branch that I want to see, right? But the smart one here lets you go through and say, okay, let me focus in on just this branch and the related upstreams, because now it's kind of like an automated soloing feature for you to be able to say, okay, these are the branches that you probably care about. Because in a lot of cases, like I'm working on a team with about 5 other devs, and we're all spinning branches, and the horizontally nature of our graph, it's big. And a lot of times I don't care too much about what the other devs are doing until they're like opening PRs and stuff. And so all those extra branches are just a lot of extra noise, especially if they're committing and pushing a lot. It's just making a lot more for me to look at when I really only care about track of these. So this is just a really handy way of diving in and keeping the visible branches of what you actually care to look at. But it's slightly better than just soloing, because this is like soloing and then doing a handful more solos, right? Of your branch and then upstream ones, which is awesome. This one here actually got me really excited too. So restore files from any commit. So if we go back here, right? So if I go and look at, for example, this one, right? I can restore this file at this commit. So this is kind of like, um, or I should say, one of the use cases that I have for this one is you've accidentally deleted a file, or you want to undo a change because it's like, oops, I didn't mean to make that change to that file and commit it, but it's all the way back, and I don't want to go and do a bunch of rebases, right? Like this gets you to be able to restore it back at this delta, which is an awesome way of being able to do it without having to like revert or and do like that mix mode changing, because you only want to take a couple files out. Because I think some people have seen me go through and I'll do a revert. I won't immediately commit. I'll leave it pending, and then I'll stage and unstage the stuff that I want and then squash it together. This is a faster way to get to that same end result of being able to say, actually, just going to take the whole thing anyway, store it at this commit, and then you're off to the races. So that excites me a lot, because this is going to be a Kevin made a mistake. I got to go back and clean myself up. The sparse checkout stuff is cool. I don't use sparse checkouts a lot because most of the time I'm just cloning everything anyway, but I am aware there is a lot of people with some massively big repositories. The one cool thing here is you can now do a sparse checkout of a particular directory, right? So if you've got like this big mono repo and you only need a portion of it, you can actually just get that portion. That is quite a nice feature. The AI stuff updated to Gemini 3, which is awesome. They obsoleted some old models. Awesome, great. They bumped their Git executable up. Huzzah. I don't know what's in the latest version of the Git executable. It feels like at this point, the Git executable, every time they add new features, they're kind of esoteric because all of the main paths are very well trodden at this point. So great, they've got the latest. I'm happy. I'm sure there's useful stuff in it. No idea what it is. Um, no free AI tokens. Um, there, I believe you are correct. Let me look. Get cracking. I believe the. I think it comes down over. I think you don't start getting them until you get all the way up onto here. Yeah. The other thing that you don't get until you get a paid one is the bring your own key, which is the way of being able to get it to work with like your, if you had your own like Olama or Foundry Local or similar running, right? This is the one here. I kind of get it. Is the intent is to try to push people into getting the updated pro plan, at least for certain things, which at $3 a month right now is pretty darn cheap. But yeah, the other thing that I will point out is that they do tokens per week, which is really nice because I find it is. I use it very liberally of I'm just always clicking the AI button for the commit messages, for recompose, for auto resolving of conflicts. It is difficult for me to burn through. Now I've got an elevated token count per week than most people, but it like I don't know that I've ever seen a million my own usage hit a million tokens. I've broken 250,000 before, but I don't know that I've ever broken a million. Thank you for the sub. I appreciate it. Apologize. I'd read the name, but I unfortunately my poor American English is betraying me, and I'm afraid I can't. But I do appreciate the sub. Thank you very much. So there is that of being able to go through and leverage the newer AI stuff. So like I said, I get where they're coming from. They are trying to push it, and in my opinion, the cost of the pro plan is very low for what you get. There was one bug in here that I wanted to pull out that was that I know had been biting me, and why am I not seeing it? Oh, it's not in the bugs, it's the deprecation. So this GitHub Actions one. So I don't know how many people had noticed they on this left side here, there used to be a GitHub Actions thing. And all it would do when you would click on it is actually just open you up to the GitHub repo at the Actions YAML file. And that was it. Like it didn't show you anything about the actions run. And I oftentimes had gone in here and just turned it off because I found it to be useless. So they have yanked it out and have said, yeah, it's not really like it's not affecting the running of actions. It was literally just a shortcut to get there. But I think for a lot of people, they were probably doing like me and turning it off, or people don't realize that you can customize this list. Right click anywhere on one of the headers and you can turn them off. And so I will oftentimes go through, like on this one, I'm not using turn it off. Right. I think I use the rest of these on here somewhat enough to make them worthwhile. But if you aren't using some of these, get yourself some UI real estate back. Turn like a handful of them off, which is great, right? Something from a prior release, I don't know if people have caught. There is this nice filtering of branches, right? So like I will sometimes prefix my branches. You can now actually like filter your branches with an arbitrary cert, which is awesome, right? I don't. I think this was in 11.9, not 11.10 though. I think is where it came from. Maybe it's further back than that. It hasn't been in there long. Oh, big question. Oh, Izzy, you scare me with the big question ones. Get me. So, but yes, there is 11.10, and a lot of these things I don't know if people realize. Um, this is these ones here were fairly high upvoted on their feedback form. So back Kraken.com. Come on, dude. There we go. That was ridiculously so. So they actually do respond to this feedback and act on it. Now, obviously, some things are easier to implement than others, but the higher up voted the thing, the more likely they are to act on it because they definitely use this as a community pulse of what is important to people, and then where things work to integrate. Does it support DevOps server PRs yet? Ironically, Izzy, I assume this is what you mean here. Um, because the fact that you put the word server on there makes me assume that this is what you are after. The unfortunate answer is not yet, because I'm sure that's because you're local and on-prem and not cloudy based stuff, which is why you care about it. Because you can certainly use it for the Git level integration, but yes, the actual provider level integration is not created there yet. Again, a little disappointing. I will say too, they've got some stuff cooking that's pretty cool. So as an ambassador, they will oftentimes bounce ideas of stuff that they're working on off of us. They've got some cool stuff coming. I can tell you that. So stay tuned. No idea when it's gonna. Uh, I need to convince our 200 devs to vote for it. I agree. Click the upvote to help Izzy out. Oh, you are right. I should have absolutely hit that upvote. Hang on, hang on. I got you, Izzy. Quick. I got you. There you go. We're at 355 now. Yeah, I got you to 355. For anybody else who wants to go give Izzy a little bit of help so that they invest in doing it. Yeah, I've actually been talking with them about not necessarily DevOps server, but Azure DevOps integrations, getting some of that hashed out because their DevOps integration has always come second to GitHub, which I get, right? GitHub is significantly bigger. DevOps is smaller than GitHub. I understand you do the bulk of your users first. I get it. But I want like I've got a bunch of my work projects that are on Azure DevOps Cloud server. And so I care a great deal about that. So I've been getting lots of feedback of where there's rough edges. And who cares about Microsoft? I care a little bit. Little bit. Okay. But yes. So absolutely, if you haven't grabbed the latest 11.10, I will say I did see something on their Slack forum. There was at least one user on Mac, and I'm trying to remember what the exact use case was that they ran into. On Mac, with one of the integrations, there was an issue um, with the 11.10 release, and I don't remember what it was. But if you are on a Mac and you run into an issue interacting with your provider, go check their Slack channel out. The dev for Get Kraken had posted links to the prior Mac version installers so that people could roll back if they needed to. Because oftentimes there is no rollback feature built into the app directly. So unless you either save the installer or otherwise, right, you basically have to know a direct link in order to get it. If you just look at the URL downloads, you can usually infer the link if you know the version number. Hint, hint. So get the latest update installer link. You can swap your version out, and I don't know how old they keep older ones back, but usually there's at least like the last version or so that if there is problems, people go back. But most of the time they are trying to keep rolling forward. I don't know what their adoption numbers are, but like GKD updates in the background, and on next reboot will update itself. So it generally is running forward. Um, there's a feedback suggestion to say, hey, give us a way of turning it off. On Mac, you can just run the the DMG file from not the apps directory, and that it has some directory check or otherwise know whether it should do a self update or not. And so if you run it out of downloads, it won't update. But that's more of a temporary workaround, not a long term solution. They will only try to implement it themselves in the wrong way eventually. Uh, they do try. I will say that. And a lot of the Git Kraken folks tend to run on non-Windows boxes. So I often find myself giving a lot of Windowsy based feedback because smaller percentage of their team runs on Windows. It was like, help. So, but that's one of the nice parts about being an ambassador is I usually get to poke at things very quickly and I get to experience the pain so that you don't have to. Plus, I just love playing with their new stuff and giving feedback. So, okay, that was the material design stuff. That was all that stuff. Velopack stuff. Velopack. Okay, this one here. So, this is a branch I had started. There was also an on-prem thing to allow for air gap system. Yes, if you're talking about Git Kraken, yes, they do. They do absolutely have an on-prem server hosting run completely air. Started an evaluation of that soon. Oh, cool! Evaluation of their on-prem server, is he? Sick. I don't know if you're the one talking to the Git Kraken folks, but you can feel free to mention my name. Um, there's quite a few of them that would know me by name, up to and including. I've been on a handful of. That's awesome. Let me know how it goes because I've never had a need to run it inside of an air gap network. Um, the handful of clients that we work with that are functionally air gapped on where they work, they just don't allow its use at all. So it's kind of a mute point. But I'd be curious to know if you notice anything weird or whatnot about it, because that would be something very interesting. Okay, so doing evaluation to get away from Atlassian tools in our dev environment. Okay, I guess if you're going at it with the Git Kraken stuff, I assume you'd still keep the Atlassian stuff around for like Jira, or I guess I make an assumption, assuming you're using Jira for like issue management or otherwise. But yes, once I get it set, I could possibly do a demo. Yeah, that I'd be interested to see it just so that I can have some ideas of what it looks like, because I absolutely do love that. Okay, so the premise of this guy here is, and let me go grab it. On Velopack, pull request. Let's see here. Yeah. So we had a Velopack.Build NuGet package. It was never officially supported. It was something we put together. We put out some preview NuGet packages. People found it, probably because of my stream, and started using it. And then there was problems with it, and it broke. And the part that we ran into was it was kind of difficult to maintain. So the idea is the Velopack.Build project is an MS Build NuGet package that you add to your project that basically adds in the building and the publishing right into your .NET build process, right? So just like how .NET Publish can push up, you know, your OCI Docker images out to a container registry, we wanted .NET Publish, if you were referencing Velopack.Build, to give you a similar experience for your thick client application, right? You .NET Publish, outcomes installer, you're off to the race, right? Let's see. It's all going. Apparently, last thing, finally set a cloud only date after 10 years of threatening to do it. It does have until 2029. So I'm probably at least 3 years late already. Dang. I'm not 100% surprised though. I am not 100% surprised. There's a handful of places that I've seen really push heavy on cloud only, because it is kind of a pain to maintain two things, because they end up being very different products when you can't control the back end completely. But that's the premise with the Velopack.Build project, is to give you that integration where you .NET build, and it gives you the same experience for your thick client installers as what you would get publishing cloud-based. That's the promise. Um, the implementation details get a little more funky, because prior to .NET 10, MS Build tasks had to functionally be Net Standard 2.0, because if you did .NET Publish from inside of Visual Studio, you got a runtime that was .NET Framework. But if you did a .NET Publish from the CLI, you got an MS runtime that was modern.NET, Net 6 or greater, depending on your, which was cool, but it meant that if you wanted to support both use cases, you had to go Net Standard because that was your only option. Now, with Net 10, you don't have to do that. Let's build Net 10. There was in .NET 10, there was this guy here. Yeah. This problem here that it's describing, where MS Build, you would get one that was shipped with the .NET SDK, and then you'd get a different one that was shipped with Visual Studio, and it meant that you ended up with .NET Framework applications and versus a modern .NET. Can't be used when building Visual Studio when using blah blah blah, right? With .NET 10, the MS Build EXE and Visual Studio 2026, you can use the same MS Build task for Visual Studio as MS Build EXE or as the MS Build EXE. So on the CLI and Visual Studio, there is now great agreement. This is what we want. The disappointing part here. So, but for authors of custom MS Build tasks, you can now write your tasks at target.net and have them work everywhere, right? You no longer are bound to net standard. You can now bring them forward to net 10 and be off to the races, which is great as long as you can assume that the consumers are running the .NET 10 SDK or newer or Visual Studio 2026 or newer. This is one of those updates that I'm really excited for, but I feel like I'm not realistically going to be able to take advantage of for several years because I'm not willing to cut off support for the older stuff yet. And so I kind of have to wait until I can cut off that older support. So it's like, so close. So close. What and I think I just need to add the project back in. We had a problem with the project and we dropped it out of our solution, which oh, there it is. So the change here is to say, well, we're already publishing VPK as a CLI. Rather than trying to deal with the subtle intricacies of the problems of writing a complicated task, because by making the Velopack build project target net standard, it meant that if it wanted to reference one of our other assemblies, that also had to be net standard. And so that thing just kind of pushed all the way down, and that was just a major pain in the neck, right? The change here, though, is, and we'll probably cut this off, um, as this is a new feature, can't you just make it 10 VS 2026? We considered that. I have a hard time cutting it off. Like for me, I would have no problem saying net 10 2026 because everywhere I want to use it is going to be running net 10 2026. I do know of a handful of client projects that are still on like net 8 and they're planning on updating because I think net 8 falls out of support in November. What it is? I think net 8 falls out of support November of this year if I remember right. Yeah, November 10th, 2026. So, I think I'm a little hesitant to just kill off complete support for it. The other thing is I'm not 100% convinced that I can kill off support for VS 2020 just yet. And it's only because we're trying to make Velopack as approachable for as many people as possible because we don't have the problem of too many users. We have the problem of too few. So we're trying to avoid putting up any arbitrary barriers if we don't have to. So, and in this case, I'm kind of willing to jump through a handful to try to make it going. Oh darn! I better get started ordering my VS 2026 too. Then, so there's the other reason because it would make Izzy's life hard. Yeah, because I know there's a handful of people like 2026 just dropped GA in November. It's only been 4 months, 5 months. Uh, I don't know that I want to kill it yet. Um, but it is definitely something on the radar for going through and doing it. We did have a question of, should we try to do something interesting with it? The only thing that's going to be mildly interesting for this is probably going to be pointed directly to Velopack Flow. So this will probably be less useful for people who are hosting their own backends unless they want to fork and mitigate that kind of thing. So it's one of those. It's like we are trying to push people in one direction a little bit, but not too much. I can bump this to 14 now too. I want to double check. Yeah, because we've got full net 10 support. I can easily software 4 months makes it a grandparent by now. You're not wrong. You are absolutely not wrong. Yeah, and there's a handful of things that have also been lagging behind. Like the main assembly still doesn't have full nullability turned on everywhere. It's got it in most of the public APIs, but not the entire assemblies. So I've got a handful of PRs out there slowly turning it all the way on everywhere. Um, I was tempted to turn Copilot loose on it. I have to watch it like a hawk. And I kind of feel like that's one of those cases where I don't like I don't know. Going through and refactoring files slowly is kind of relaxing some nights. So this guy here is switching up a little bit because let's see. So here's the MS build task itself that actually is going to go through and run. And rather than having this task like reference our other assemblies, it's just going to run VPK on its own, right? Like that's the simple way go through and do. Is there an easy check in a .NET 8 app to see if .NET 10 is installed? Um, sort of. You can always run, depending on where you're at, right? You can always do .NET dash dash list SDKs, right? And you can always do a dash dash version as well to see what you're going to get. Because if some, the other thing is, even if they have 10 installed, if they've got a global.json that's pinning them back to an older one, it doesn't matter what they have. So that is kind of the catch 22 is it's it needs to be installed and it needs to not be overridden. So the dash dash version is usually the easy check. Because if you do this inside of a repository that has a global.json, you can actually watch the version change as you tweak that global.json to know, what's the effective version that you're going to end up. So that's probably the I want my app not to update until 10 is detected. Okay. Yeah, so if you're talking about a running app, I think you might actually want then .NET. I believe it's list runtimes. Yeah, so you are probably less interested in. Well, I guess it depends. You may care about the SDKs, but more often than not, you probably just care about runtimes. And so what you probably want to do is literally just well, I'm realizing you can't run the .NET command if the SDK isn't there. The thing you could look for though is I don't think it's very realistic that um check one thing. So what you could do is check for let's see here. So you could look at so on Windows program data will get you the I guess you actually want program files, don't you? Program files I up there. There if you're doing this inside of C sharp, you can use environment dot what is it? There's environment get special folder or get folder path, right? And then here you can do environment special folder, and then I think what you're after is program files, right? Because that'll deal with the x86-bit garbage for you. And then you probably can just check for .NET shared and then look inside of this directory. That's potentially the easiest way to know what's there. Because if you just list out the contents of this directory, this will be all the versions. Velopack doesn't offer this feature. It doesn't. So if you want to guard the update, that's not something that we offer out of the box. If you want to bootstrap it, that we do have. Um, so this guy. So what you can do is when you're building your installer, or because say you've got an app on, yeah, if you find a 10 folder, you're good to go. Yes, if you want to limit it there. So you may not need to, depending on what you're after, right? Because typically what will happen is you'll have version 1 of your app that's say running net 9, and then you make version 2 of your app that's running on net 10. When you build that installer that's running on net 10, if you use dash dash framework, and our sample here shows 9, replace the 9 with a 10, right? Um, and actually, you probably want more like this, or maybe this one here. Again, depending if it's like a WPF or similar. This is probably the desktop runtime that you're after. Um, you can build in bootstrapping for your version 2 for net 10, and then when that update occurs, Velopack will install net 10 if it needs to, if it sees that that's what you're bootstrapped with, and then you're off to the races, right? You can't, yeah, as Izzy points out, you can also do self-contained. The only disadvantage of self-contained is then you're bringing the framework with you, and so your installer is bigger. Did I just include 10 in the pack? Yeah, if the only reason you're checking for the version 10 is because you've just revved your framework to 10 and you want to make sure the users have it installed, the easiest thing is on your on your VPK pack, just do dash dash framework net 10, again assuming that this is the runtime you care about, is net 10 x64 desktop, whatever your app is targeting, right? Because this one here should show, because we support all the net framework versions, the VS Cred, we support WebView 2 if you need that one bootstrapped in, and then all of the framework ones. So we don't list them out because Microsoft adds a new one, it's annoying. So as long as it matches this pattern, right, we will go out to Microsoft's download servers and look to see if it's there, download, install the runtime, and you're off to the races. Because that idea of making sure that the various framework you need is installed and ready to go is somewhat common. So if the only reason you're checking is because you want to make sure that the user has net 10 installed, just dash dash framework on your VPK pack and you're good to go. Done. And like I said, just make sure you pick the appropriate net version. So net 10, probably x64, probably desktop. If you're a WPF app, that's the one you're after. If you're something else, right? And then you're good to go. Yeah. Because you can type runtime, desktop, SDK, right? Depending on what you're doing. Yes, WPF. Yeah. So you are almost assuredly after net 10 net 10.0, emphasis 10.0, right? Hyphen x64 unless you've done something weird for ARM or otherwise, and then hyphen desktop. So functionally, yeah, slap that onto your VPK pack, and then you should be able to take the installer that comes from that and go to a machine that doesn't even have like brand new fresh VM or whatever, run the installer. You should see net 10 get installed and the thing go. Same when the update occurs, because when you pull down the update, we'll look at that update and see if there's a different bootstrap that we need to install, and then we'll go through and install it. So very similar to how like ClickOnce does their bootstrapping as well, or ClunkOnce, I think is the proper way to say that. Yeah. Uh, this won't UAC well. So we are going to download. I don't know. It might, because all Velopack does is it pulls down the Microsoft installer for the runtime and runs it. And I can't remember if that installer requires elevation or not, because it would be so it shouldn't do anything different than if the user were to download that same runtime installer and run it. So I don't know. It might. The fact that it installs into program files makes me suspect the answer is yes, but I have not actually tested that. It might actually prompt UAC for that one. Only because again, we aren't doing anything fancy. We're literally just pulling their installer and running it. So it's kind of up to their installer what it's going to do, but I suspect it does. Um, you work where I do, you probably need 3 people present to allow the installation. Yes, a small sacrifice and all the needful, right? Um, The other option too, JC, like as he said, is you can always do self-contained. So if you build your app self-contained, it will put a copy of the needed runtime binaries with your application. Then you don't care what the user has installed on their system. You always bring the runtime along with you. The disadvantage of that is now your app is bigger, your downloads are bigger, because you're bringing that runtime with you rather than expecting it on the machine. So, but if you do full self-contained, then you aren't reliant on anybody else's installs. Again, the disadvantage there is you're now bigger and you're bringing your own copy of the runtime. So the only mild nice part with that is some of the runtime bits that maybe are gacked or otherwise, like Microsoft can still kind of hot patch the runtime for like security fixes and whatnot. But you are effectively on your own for bringing the runtime, revving it, that kind of thing. So for what it's worth. This guy here, though, for the MS Build task, this whole premise is just grab the tool runner, um, go hunting for VPK. And in this case, this guy is actually bundling VPK into the NuGet package that has Velopack.Build just so that it, one, can guarantee that VPK is there, and two, has a compatible version. The only reason, like most of the time, compatibility won't be a big issue, but it does build up command line arguments. So if I go to station, right, um, right, like we have to, it does have to make some assumptions because it's just going to process start VPK. It does need to have some idea um, of what it does. Let's see, just for 6 or 7 internal users, self-contained works. Yeah, if that's an option for you, it's is it .NET publish. I believe it's just dash dash self-contained on the publish command, if I remember right. Yeah, dash dash self-contained or dash dash sc if you're really later. Cool. Have a good one, JC. Good luck. Okay. Lost myself. Um, so that was the rationale for bundling it in, is because if we change the CLI interface in some meaningful way, I didn't want this thing failing just because that happened. Right? So that was the premise going into it. So I think this guy here has now been redone, and what I mostly need to handle here is dealing with the subtle differences across all of these. What this guy here needs to do, because the other change on this branch that's out here is it does add in on the VPK side, it does add in some Velopack flow stuff for being able to do this. Why does install location that name? It probably got renamed side for library, because this PR got abandoned a while back, mostly because it was say big and slow. Let's see here. So net 10 here for all modern stuff. And then this guy here is have a reference. He does have a reference back into Velopack. So where did install location? Um, look at this. I think this was just not even leveraged. Why isn't it leveraged down here? That ain't null at that point. Why it flags it and then grays it out? That graying out of the exclamation point, the fact that that is darker than the other text, usually indicates something that you can get rid of. But I'm surprised that like that might just be a bug with yes. Why Install location is not a thing. That's easy enough to whack. I believe this was around the MSI parameters, if I am not mistaken. Let's see. Packaging. Just pack command. Installation welcome. No, there is install location. It exists. So the question then is why did I not get it? Back here. So where is this thing at? This is in Velopack packaging. Down here. Know that that's a big issue. Reference. Okay to reference. I'm trying to remember. It's been now a couple months since I looked at this PR, so there's a reason I can't reference it. Oh, is that the reason? That is absolutely a reason why I can't. Got it. Well, I only need it for, so let's just but what we can do is we can cheat. What we do is this, and we do from the packaging. I just want the enums so that they stay in sync. I don't actually care about most. I don't need compression. I need install location. Install. I'll just file link that sucker in. Then I'll have it. There we go. Ah, I'm in. Now, solve. Reference. There we go. Now they can hopefully stay roughly in sync. And in an ideal situation, what I would love is something that piles against both of these. I think we could get all the way down to these commands. Okay, so that one up. Because at the end of the day, what I really care about most is making sure that the API on this guy matches the other one. And I'm trying to remember, we have a library on here for auto mapping. Not auto mapper, aware of that, but it is Milk Mapperly, the source gen mapper. So when things get out of sync, you end up with compile errors. So even though there's no hard reference between classes, they're source linked together, and therefore that's not a problem. Run our own logger. There's nothing really gained there. There is looking for where we do mapping in the option guy. This guy has the pack option. Guy, where do you get used? No references. Yeah, that's not right. There is another place that uses this. It is, don't remember. Underline, that's the underline pack command. If I look at the Windows pack command, same setup. Where are you? Where do you get used? Options mapper. This guy. Options mapper is what I'm looking for. It is goes back off guy. Where you are the one that's being kept in sync with that command, and I kind of want to do the same thing, only to my MS Build one. I don't remember where you are configured. This is this is the source gen bit, but what I'm looking for is what is the trigger for the source gen. I might just have to kind of hoping to be able to find it. This. There's the guy. This is what forces you to stay in, get out of sync, the source generator work, and okay, this guy here, options mapper, and I am very tempted. What is the dependency all the way through? It does have a dependency all the way down to system command line. K itself is net 8, net 9, net 10. I wonder if I could get away with the options mapper only existing the net 10 compile. Because really what I want to do is make all of these things aligned, right? Is I'd like every single one of these things to line up perfectly with what the commands are. Um, and then in an ideal situation, have these things automatically all generated as well with a handful of extra bits, because like literally all these things are is just looking for those parameters. It's doing a handful of default sets, which are helpful as well, right? Like the pack version will default to version if you don't do anything. That's probably what most people are going to be using anyway. There is version prefix and suffix and that kind of thing that we probably want to support at some point. And there's a handful of extra things with like the wait for timeout, wait for live type situations, which I may change to not be defaulted here and just default them all the way down in the task rather than up here at the root. Probably a cleaner approach. So if I do that, let's go here, and if I go here, up here, the full. Oh, I've already got it. Got it. Lovely, 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 lovely. Are you being used where it doesn't look like it? Okay, so I probably started down this path once already. That was smart of me. Last Kevin was brilliant. Only current Kevin could keep up with him. Then what I want is something akin to this for the mapper. I'm gonna come here and do boom. I want to call this move you into class. Mapper goes there, and then I don't think we can get away with just doing this on the net 10 side. Oh, that net 10 or net 10? There's no way. There's no way that's one there. Okay, that is 10. Okay. Some things get weird, right? Okay, so there's the command mapper. Then just like we have the options mapper down, just need to map want to go with and and I would like to map, I guess, the my pack and that pack command. So which actually slightly interesting because there isn't a single pack command. There's a Linux, there's an OS X, and a Windows based pack command. So I don't know that I can actually map this directly in all cases. Well, I guess getting some is better than getting. So this, in order to get, so if my pack task composite of all of these, I don't want to make a bunch of tasks. What I need to do is this. But for this to work, I now need to add project reference. I need to reference A, but that will not work for net 7. And so we need the VPK reference. This is N. Goes like that. And I need this project reference only exist. Why are we doing? Oh, hold on. We already have a Velopack VPK reference. We actually already have it. Wait, past Kevin was already on top of it. So it was just my change from net 8 to net 10 that broke that. This, stop it. Velopack. So this should have. Should just be back. Okay. This is the guy we want. That is the are unhappy at should have VPK. Is that not a public class? Is that the problem? It is a public class. We're referencing. Why are you not building properly? Try this. That should. I don't know what I'm missing. Velopack VPK is referenced. It does not exist in the target namespace. Oh, is it because I have reference output assembly false? That is probably issue. If I don't reference the output assembly, I will not have referenced. There we go. That now has the reference. MS build task return false did not log in error. What is your error here? Did not map. Got it. So there is a mismatch here, but that is somewhat intentional on the type. How do I tell it that map to Because this guy, I need to change the mapping here. Tribute, where's your docs? Where is your docs? Documentation available here. Wonderful. Thank you. Mapper configuration, new mappings. That is less interesting. Mapper configuration. I want course. Oh, do I just need to do a do I just need a um string? Is this delta mode? Not create a mapping. Consider implementing the mapping manually. How does one do that? Mapper ignore. Obsolete members. Yeah, I should probably look at the side. Format. Invented property mappings. This might. Let's. So if I do a map property, so I guess what I could do. That just okay. I was very confused. I think what I am, if I'm understanding correctly, this guy comes here. This guy comes here. So this ends up being what source destination? I assume what these members are. Yeah, source target. Okay. So source is going to be OS at command delta mode, right? And then this guy is going to be pack task delta mode, right? So this is going to be going there. Stop it. String that goes like that. This then go like this. Turn mode string. That's all it needs. Not map. That goes like that. The could not create mapping from Velopack packaging delta mode. Oh, because this is in case delta mode has been brought over as a file link. This is because I actually don't want the file link. I only want the file link if, so for example, here, I only want the file link for the net. So I only want the file link in the case 472, but not in the, okay, that. That's all that needs to be. Problem here. Let's see. Mapping nullable source property pack version to the target property pack version is not null. There are docs on nullability. Let's see. Allows customization of how null values are handled when mapping properties. Maybe this is actually an issue here because this is I assume that makes that error go. Probably triggers other ones, but I'm assuming that one's going to go away. Build, make sure it actually drops off of here. It does. So I'm thinking that what I might do here is something a little tricky. Just do that. Found if kind of really want to inject the. Do I have injected? Not because there's shims you can bring in for doing this. So I am just shim the sucker in. Right? Like you can literally just uh work. That will not pass. Namespace, that in here. Don't even just need this thing to so that now the compiler is happy because all it needs. And the back to net 10, we look at the so it wants the same thing for pack ID. This is probably the path of least think because now I can now guarantee actually that because this required attribute will mean the MS build task will fail if not set, which pack directory thing directory that okay. Now what are you complaining about? The member self-contained on the mapper target pack task was not found on the source one. I would like it to ignore things that don't exist. Ignore members. Assume this is here. Because I can't have multiple tasks that I'm invoking per platform. I mean, I could. It's just kind of stupid. I don't need them. because I'd rather just one with everything. So I think in these cases we're just gonna ignore the ones that are missing. The self-contained target framework. Never ignore. The remember ignore first of that command. I guess this is the wrong direction. Target going to a packed packed location because that doesn't exist on the other one. And I'm missing a friend on. Stop it! Stop it! Much it there. And then let's see what else we got here. Self-contained target frameworks runtime. Work time. What else you got? Runtime. There. So all of the MSI Flash all license MSI enter logo pride MSI go Flash those ones all go there. What else you got? Oh, all license F. All F. That I believe is probably limited. Guess we should probably double check a handle, make sure that they aren't here, right? Because none of these should be. All of these options should be ones that exist only on the Linux or Windows. This is functionally the list here. Probably about to bite us. Great. And skip Velopack app check. But it absolutely exists. This on the base, so I don't want to suppress that one. Was not found on OSX pack command. Not have just see I thought I just saw that it was on that one. Velopack. Yep. Pack task. Oh, that. Oh, I'm looking at myself. Um, it is on the window. Got it. Okay, I'm an idiot and I'm looking at the wrong one. Yep. Come on, show me. Source gen your way to victory. Sign parameters as your trusted sign file. Sign exclude. I'm surprised signing is back based. Signing really not. I guess it's not the. It is probably a Windows specific because it relies on. So let's come signing one. Trusted sign file was on the other ones. Got them, and I realized that there are some sign ones that are going to be up on the OSX level. There we go. Let's see. Sign parameters, sign excluded, sign parallel. Stop it. Sign parameters. Parallel. Getting there. Getting there. We're going to get all of these here in a bit. Come on. Get the list again. Here. Sign template, categories. Template, categories, category. Learning things that, oh, this is underneath. Oh, this is the Linux install. Okay. I might separate out those. Okay. Because the Linux pack one, categories compression. Go. Then got here. Velopack base URL. Timeout. Build in. Really. The base URL, I don't think change. This is going to be mapper ignore source. This is one that's only going to exist inside of here. That's fine. We'll deal with that one second. Source member. This path. This I am surprised. Well, so it doesn't. I guess you do need the base URL on pack because you need it all the way down. Pull the latest. Option. Collection initializer. Initializers. So Nord source member. Oh, ignore target. That's why. Because it's saying it didn't find it on the pack command. Because it doesn't exist. Okay, so let's see. Timeout, build engine, host. They're all MS. Mount object. I assume it's not going to scream about the rest of them. Happy now? Global fact attribute not be found. Why is that? Go to point back. What is up? Like when I did this, there was. So we have dropped a package. Is this guy? This is um. I know McMaster, but his look like. Or for a moment. That should get. Go. Better. What's your problem here? X unit core and X unit V core V3. Uh-oh. What have we done? What have we done? In fact, I bet you this guy is dependent on X unit V3. But this guy is X unit. Oh, no, he is X unit V2 and we are on X unit 3. So that is a problem. I have a hard time believing it's not something. X unit has skipping built in, so there's no need for as part of the da da da. Got it. Okay, that is convenient. We don't need this anymore. We just fact and before we were doing skip if. So now this is assert skip one. Assert skip when. That just okay. Lovely, 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 lovely. And we don't need any extra NuGet packages. Everyone's happy. Everyone's happy. Get package references found. Microsoft Build Utilities. Okay, so I agree that those are hated. Probably just that. Probably need to change. I just want private assets all on this. I don't really want to take a NuGet dependency part of the build. That's probably okay. Type install location. Clicks with the ported. Install location. I need the same edition on. Might move you inside of an items group. Be a problem. Now we're up to 300 errors. We're getting there. We are getting there. Let's see. Duplicate package reference. Microsoft I/O redistributable. Let's see here. How did I end up with these? Okay. I assume it has to be my rebase that did all kinds of stuff. Let's see here. Let's see. Does the private assets property actually work now? I seem to requiring the full XML that my project. It should. I'm using it in a few other places to effectively segment off whether something is a NuGet dependency or an embedded one. So it should work just fine. It would not shock me to find out that there was issues in it in like the Net 6, Net 7, Net 8 era, but I'm fairly confident I've got multiple projects that are Net 9, Net 10 that are leveraging it. And again, those .NET versions based on SDK, not target framework. Okay, let's see here. Project reference, Velopack.Build revolves using. Huh? Package was. Why do we even need? Kind of confused why we even. I have a suspicion it's an MS build. Why we need it, but I've commented. Yet another thing to end to my never-ending story. You're welcome, Izzy. It is my pleasure to add work to you. Build task returned false, but did not an error. I just love when that happens. That's target framework value empty was not recognized or misspelled. Why do you have a target framework of empty? That is wonderful. Am I an idiot? Why do you think you have a target framework to? So remove entire self-contained project files. That would be great. Why? Sucker and see if I get on a full clean build. Oh, target framework value was empty string, not recognized. Great, that would be not misspelled. Yes, it could. I'm missing something. Missing something obvious. Let's go. Let me grab my. Oh, first project. This oh, it's under the. Got it. Yep. Okay. Build. .NET. Log. Show me something useful. Why are you getting an empty build 16? Okay, well that tells me is reboot Visual. That's what that tells me. That video has lost its mind. Swift kick. I open. Not okay. Gonna behave this time, Visual Studio. Try this again. Still the same error. What the heck? Why? Project reference build was resolved using Net Framework version 470. Like it does not like this. It, no, .NET seems fine with it. Build. Try at the full solution level. I'm very confused why I'm getting different behavior. Let's see. I am still confused as to why I'm getting this project warning. Solved using instead of the project target framework. Warning. Project reference build resolved using framework 470 instead of project target frame project may compatible with project. Oh, because okay, build test is what's breaking. Got it. I gotta actually because I made this 9, not a 10 like it should have been. Okay, that should fix at least the warning. And maybe we'll fix no. Okay, but at least now we're getting useful errors. Okay, so that was part of the problem. Let's see. Depression doesn't exist. Don't need it. Don't need depression. Let's see. Delta. This is Microsoft C Sharp. Why are you fail? What are you failing on? Why do you have old C# reference? Microsoft C# will no longer prove your dependencies. I would love to. It's not in my dependencies. Like, huh? There must be a ah. It's gotta be coverlet Microsoft C#. That guy right. Okay, that fixed. I've broken something else by doing that. Okay. Build tests. Conflict between extensions logging 9 and I've got two different package reference. Where are there? There's all logging correctly. It is absolutely referencing logging there. Referencing. There is a .NET CLI command for walking these. Sometimes I just try to expand and find it. There is always a good. I see the 9 reference. Don't see. What are you bumping? Boom. Okay, so where is project for on this? Get an updated build file. Okay. There we go. System diagnostics event log that could not be resolved. Conflict between diagnostic event log, diagnostic event log 10. Show me diagnostic event log. References and identified. Logging. Wait, where the heck am I missing? Where are you? 9. Correct reference. Really? That's not exciting. This has to mean that this is coming in via the framework references. So there is a 10 referencing a 9. No, is that what I'm deriving from this? Microsoft extensions primitives. So let's see. Okay, Copilot, do your thing. Go read the logs for me. I can't figure this out. Uh, the reference. Go read the logs. It can probably come up better than I can. I'm sure it is in front of me. I'm just bad at reading these. Let's see. Go ahead and build this. Kind of what I told you to do. Oh, Izzy, I just saw your comment about directory build props. So there's actually an odd catch 22 with the TFM and the directory build props. You can kind of get away with it, but it's not something that's officially supposed to be supported. Target framework, because it is effectively what MS Build pivots on, it it wants it to be defined in the um it wants it to be defined in the project itself. So typically target framework you can't do with directory build props. Now I've made it work multiple times, but there's a number of issues that I've run into, kind of random failures. Things just don't work out properly. Let's Summary was on. Why do I have a feeling that you? That's fine. That enum issue really the whole issue? Yeah, no. Is unrelated to this test project. Okay, maybe I should fix that up. Go. I actually want you to fix that. That was the whole point of invoking you, to have you read this big long wall of text for me so that I don't have to look at it. Um, what AI is good at. Reading large blocks of text and synthesizing it down for me. I don't have to find my way through this log file. I will say I did come across, so for anybody playing around with this, um, there is a great tool out here. Chet, who works on the .NET SDK, Chet Husk, he has this MCP out here. So if you ever want Copilot to be able to read your MS bin log file and parse it and dig through it for errors and be intelligent, this is an awesome little MCP for it, right? So it does require .NET 10 because it's being built on DNX as a global tool. But in theory, if you wanted to change up this command, could just install it as a .NET global tool and accordingly. But it does give a really great way of letting Copilot or insert AI choice here. Let's see, originates from two projects, VPK and Velopack.Build. The VPK project also has about an empty. Let me examine both projects. Blah blah blah. Yeah. They think AI will replace developers. It took me 3 days to try and get it to create a custom Linux driver patch. In the end, I spent 3 hours writing it myself. Yeah, there's certain tasks where I feel like it is very helpful. For example, ripping through this airlog file and figuring out where the problem is. I had a really great experience, I think it was a couple weeks ago, where it told me I had a circular reference between my CS proj and my app settings.json, and I looked at it and I went, no, I don't. Like that is absolutely incorrect. Now, it was right that there was a circular reference, but it was not between my JSON file and my CS project. Like, so you got your wires crossed in there somewhere. Those two things don't go together like that. Um, Ripping through. I'm also curious if it can figure out where the empty .NET framework one is coming from. While it's thinking about its life and considering what it has done wrong, let's just open up the bin log. Um, this is an old one with that delta. Figure this out. I want an updated one that doesn't have that delta error in it. I really just want to chase down the other ones. Now if I do 5, there we go. Got a bunch of double writes. That's fine for the moment. I am most interested here. This is going to be the build. Then, because of those 3 hours, I am now planning to make a driver for the Enigma. Has anyone ever warned you that you have a problem with scope creep? Not a big problem, just a little one. Really what I want is that 32. I want is that. Find it. Okay. So resolve assembly reference. This is the guy that's actually. This is helpful. Build test, resolve assembly reference. This guy came in here. Bum. That target invoked here. Passed a bunch of parameters. Assembly files. Found conflict between effectively all of the extensions. Interesting. So frankly, I think this is, but it's fun, and my thumbs are twiddly while I wait for my shiny test ports. That is a good point. Sure there is some magical saying about boredom and or idleness. Let's see. Do you want to run the following command? Yeah, you can run a build. That's fine. Have at it, buddy. Go enjoy yourself. References which depend on logging abstractions 9. Kind of knew about this. That's not shocking. The part that's baffling me is this is just a straight reference to it. Things that depend on 10. Where is this 9 one coming in? Because it's saying Microsoft Extensions logging abstraction. Do I have a reference to logging abstraction somewhere? The weird part is there's nothing showing up in Explore search, which makes me believe that it is not anywhere. Oh, the generate pack on build might be biting me. I could see that being a possibility. I mean, that would only narrow down where they necessarily fix it. It is building the Velopack one. Go ahead. Go ahead. How in this go? Cope are not earning your, because I don't understand. Like these ones all make sense. They're targeting net 10. So therefore, they're referenced in net 10 version. Where the heck is login abstractions 9.1? Um, where is, show me reference to that guy? That's buried in a sample. Ah, that reference there is literally pointed at 10. That's just the global user. I wonder if this needs to multi-target up to 10. You have different versions of the abstractions for the lower. Uh, go ahead. That works correctly. I'm surprised it's. Why is it focused on the pack? Is that the target that was running that launched? No, it was a build. So for anybody curious, right? So target launched here. So inside of MS Build, when you do a .NET build, what that ends up doing is invoking MS Build with a target of build. So it's a well-known default target name. So if no other target is specified, build is what you get. Same with .NET Public. It's the publish target, which is a well-known target name inside of the .NET SDK. But in like raw MS Build, you have to specify what your ever build your own little MS Build SDK. You get to decide what these well-known ones are. Build and publish are very common ones. There's also like clean, a handful of other ones that you probably recognize. But this output is actually coming from the build target. So I'm surprised it's realizing I should probably go through stage, stage, stage. Probably one stage. Next step is to add oxygen for automated documentation to put it in VPK. Yes, like there is a handful of automated bits that we've started to add in. That one's that up after. Don't think that's necessary. Project back in. Tries to put it all the way up at the top. Would have expected it. Well, at some point, I do want to rev it up to. This is the AI having. Gonna not stage. We're gonna not stage that. Yeah. Lot. Like it if you do the right thing. Generate package on build if building inside a Visual Studio. Building inside a Visual. If we're not inside a Visual Studio, then go ahead and do it. Otherwise, don't. I kind of think you are running off the wrong end. Verify this. This may work, but this feels like does this new packet to rendering every build for the package ID when Visual Studio builds multi-targeted projects like Yeah, and command line map with batches. Enter TFM builds in a way that causes new pack phase to invoke builds, empty target framework, resulting a standard pattern used in many .NET projects. Package generation during VS builds isn't needed for development workflow. What's the .NET pack? I get it, but I'm kind of rejecting it. I don't like it, but I also don't really care to fix it. Okay, well, we're back to running. Okay, so now that we're back to running or compiling them, go back to my command mapper. Flip you over to net 10. Hey, Society Dog. Good to see you. Currently playing around with my Velopack build project. We finally got the MSI PR that sat out there for months merged in. And so now we are back to moving quickly again. Lovely. So I am trying to get my Velopack build project merged in and updated so that it's not such a pile of garbage. Because it has not worked very well. That command, or actually, have an implementation part, blah, blah, blah. No, it doesn't. Did it go away after the firmware fixes? It did not. However, the problem has resolved itself by virtue of me getting functionally a new motherboard and CPU. Shockingly, the problem disappeared. So, what I actually did is I bought a pre-built and then yanked a bunch of hardware out of my old machine and put it in the pre-built because it was cheaper for me to buy a pre-built with a new motherboard and CPU and all that jazz than it was for me to just buy the parts. I thought was stupid, but I was like, you know what? I get a new case out of the deal. We'll take it. So I also got some case fans out of it. So I bought a pre-build and then yanked the good hardware out of my other machine and put it in the new one. And so now I'm even more confident that it's in the motherboard because like the motherboard, CPU, and RAM are some of the only things that were left over from the old one. So I did get a newer processor. I got to upgrade to DR5. Nice. Like I can tell that there's a nice little speed bump that I've got, or bump is probably the wrong. A nice speed boost to the newer machine. That's kind of what I was hoping for. Let's see. So some of these are surprising me. Self-contained. Member not found there. I'm a little surprised because I would have expected self-contained to exist. So we're gonna go investigate. I'm also blasting away on the remake my old app with Copilot and Visual Studio has just become mega good now. That's awesome to hear. Yeah, I go back and forth a little bit. Like I will use Copilot inside of VS 2026 when I want Copilot to have access to IDE like debugging. Copilot in 2026 has access to like set breakpoint, local, that kind of bits. But Copilot and VS Code tends to get newer features faster. So depending on what I'm doing, I use both and we'll go back and forth. It's just harder for me to do one or the other. I use the agent. I assume it, and it almost writes like 90% of it all. Yeah, the depending on what you're doing, the agent mode really eats. stuff for breakfast, especially if it's high pattern recognition of mildly intelligent rinse, pretty good. Um, I also find it's is better the more loose requirements can be to let it kind of things like I find when doing like front end UI stuff, if it's like, hey, I need a page that lets the user, I don't know, their shopping list, whatever it's going to be, right? It's very good when it is open ended, and it's usually when I get into the tight specifics where I start going, nah, I need to take control a little bit, or where I need to actually leverage it. Why would it? Now looking at my like self-contained this here that exists there. Why is self-contained not over here? Is that not a thing, or did I rename it? Changed. The only thing I found at Reckitt, if you have a large amount of text in, I assume XAML, yeah, it can't handle it. I agree. So that's actually a complaint that I've heard from multiple people, and it's not specific as far as I can tell to any XAML framework. It's just all of them. Is it really doesn't have a good handle on XAML based. And even if you get more specific around, like it has a general idea of how XAML works, but you get into a specific framework and it. So I want to get back to my XAML test library because I'm somewhat hopeful that if I can put my MCP together for my XAML test library, it would give the AI a tool to be able to basically test its XAML in isolation, make it work, then plug it, which I think will like that's oftentimes the hard part, being able to let it try things, iterate, and then act. Obviously, if it had better training, that would be nicer, but we'll eventually. Um, why do I not? Am I really that stupid? Where is self-contained? Why didn't this one show up on the other one? This is only showing up here. So maybe we whack this guy because he's not being. That makes that easy. That one's simpler. Get rid of it. Okay, next. Target framework. Again, I'm surprised that target framework would be a thing. I'm also do it this way just to cheat the compiler for a moment. Because this should absolutely back. So actually, it up a level. I could see it. Also, if you have friends on the Visual Studio team, there's a bug when you bug app and press um, fast after edit stuff with the app freezes, crashes. Control delete on the job list and tasks part it saves the unfiltered stuff. It started after the last update. Oh. Are you on Insiders or are you just on the regular GA release? Because I have been running Insiders and I have not experienced that. Though there have been a number of other little like regular free 2026. Okay. You may if you are able to and it's not gonna cause you too much headache, you may try installing the Insiders build of 2026. The there's been a number of bugs that have come through, especially in like the UX around the Copilot stuff, that has been problematic over the last several releases. But the one from this last Tuesday had a bunch of things fixed. Now my UI complaints from them are a little bit more minor rather than like describing a full on crash and whatnot. Um, so should be you should be able to just grab the insider community. Um, yeah, and the other place too is if you've got reproduction steps for it, the send feedback, report a problem button up here, right? So that guy, um, this this goes straight into their team triage. So it will get put into the team and triage straight in. So it does have the ability to do like um, recordings and whatnot. So if it is something maybe specific to a system or otherwise, you can include the extra like diagnostic logs in there, which is always very helpful. That way they don't have to go back to people and ask again. Yeah, if you submit that in, that usually gets a lot of good attention, especially for things like crashes. Those usually will get investigated fairly quick because that's obviously a higher priority than my button doesn't work or something. Target framework. Why am I not finding target framework any? I just where did okay. Yeah, I don't remember what I did. S being ignored. This is literally a garbage property. Okay. Why do I have this? Why do I have it marked as required? What did I do something? I mean, I'm passing it in, but then I'm not leveraging it anywhere. Hey, cutie. Hopefully your games went well and you didn't lose too many more. Um, yeah, Yolven. We are, and if you are interested, this is the project. Um, and you can find links to our GitHub and Discord and all of that stuff. So it is a installer updater framework for thick client applications. The the simple way of putting it. Um, yeah, and it's pretty cool. As far as I'm concerned, it is the one of the best ones out there. Its only disadvantage that I'm aware of right now is there are other installers out there that have more features than us at the moment. Um, but ours is also cross-platform, cross-link. There's very few others that even. And it is going pretty good, Cutie. It is. I've rebased one of the PRs that I did months ago, and I'm realizing that past Kevin was partially brilliant and partially crazy, and I haven't fully decided which way it's going to go yet. Because for some reason I'm passing in target framework and I'm not using it for anything of significant. I think we're going to because I see test, 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 and a mapper ignore. So that sounds like torch it and burn it to the ground. I think that's how I'm interpreting. That'll that'll go better, I think. I'm actually somewhat surprised I'm still awake because I am operating on like 3 hours less of than what I would normally. My morning started uh, very early with running my wife into the ER, which was less than exciting. Fortunately, everyone's fine. It turned out to be no big deal, but it costed me a bunch of sleep in the process. So that part was less cool. Sign app identity, sign install identity, sign entitlements. These all make sense because those are all the Mac ones. So I know we're going to need these, the Linux ones. I'm going to put those down here. We're going to go OSX here, and we're going to bring this guy up here. Oh yes, yeah. No, everything ended up being fine, but it was definitely one of those. At 4 a.m., I was trying to function and was not functioning well. May come as a shock to some people, but I am not a morning person. I am very much a night person. An install identity. Let's see. Install identity. Then and come on, run something like entitlements. Yeah, that thing. There we go. I know the Mac one has more than that. Yeah, give me the rest of them. The sign, disable deep, notary profile, sign, disable deep, sign, not spell notary. Oh, see, this is why we have this, so that we can catch ourselves when we make mistakes. Um, no, it's right there. I just, oh, that's interesting. Let's go look because I think I named it wrong. No, it's just called notary profile. Okay, I just can't read. Okay, that's much simpler. Let's see, keychain, bundle ID, more Mackie stuff. Let's see, chain, bundle ID. What else you got for me? Info list, and I need MS Buildy ones. Go along with it. Now happy? We're not completely happy, but that's because I nuked this property, so that's okay. That, do that, do that. Rid of this. Don't need any of this. This. Ooh. I see collection initializer. Oh, no, it wants to do static real field. No, yuck. I collection initializer this. For a reason? Is there a reason I cannot just collection initializer you? Not have a newer. Yeah, that thing. Want to collection initialize all the things. Give me. Don't want any of those. No, stop it. Stop it. It. No, no, whatever. Build you at a later point. Okay. Build again. Why do you keep? Uh, let's see. I was asking to move that to a static read-only property if it's not mutated. Yeah. I just want a collection initializer it. Call it a day. Um, yeah, they are absolutely overzealous in some cases. And right now, this particular solution is like a lot of my projects. I will go through and configure like the severity on a lot of the newer analyzers and update them. This this one has projects that are kind of spanning the gauntlet because it is because we try to have a broad amount of support. We target everything from Net Framework 472 all the way up. And so we've got everything's a little split up and bifurcated at the moment, which is not great. Not overly thrilled with that, but it's also we've got bigger fish to fry, and then we'll go back and deal with that. Okay, so I don't need this. I now need Linux, and I don't need the Linux bucket down here. I am going to need those ones up here. Linux, not Windows. Go. Those ones should all match. That should all match. Now the source generator ensures that everything stays in place. And welcome. Getting something different here. Do I have do I have extra stuff on the Linux pack that I'm unaware of? Linux only has 2 members. What are you unhappy about? Let's see. The member dollar welcome on the mapping target not found on that, only showing up here. I that is okay. Commands packaging. That's the right one. Okay. You explain the difference between these 2 main methods. Necessary. That open separate window. Maybe. Find out. Okay. Oh, this is. Oh. Yeah, I don't use Excel much. So what do we got? We have one main method here. In your current .NET template, in your old dependency injection generic host one, and the differences. Let's see. So yeah, so the reason for the switch between these two. So you can kind of go either way. If the old one is working for you, that's perfectly fine. The reason for the switch over here is if you have asynchronous startups. So I build my template, and then every time I make apps, if my template doesn't serve my needs, I go and update my template to make it work for what I want. And this change here around converting to an asynchronous main was all around because I had some asynchronous startup bits in an app that I wanted to do, and I needed an asynchronous main, and it was kind of obnoxious to convert between the two. And specifically in .NET Framework, I think it was 7.2 or 7.1. Don't quote me on that. They introduced the idea of an asynchronous main method. Because normally in .NET, your main methods are limited to basically just this, right? Static, void, main, string args. That's what a main method is. That's the entry point that the runtime wants to work with. When they added the asynchronous main, what they did is they allowed you to replace void here with task or value task and the async keyword, which isn't actually part of the method signature, which was fine, except for when you do that, what it ends up happening is behind the scenes, the SDK generates something a lot more akin to this, where the entry point is still static void main, and then it just invokes your asynchronous main method, which is fine. However, inside of a WPF application, the UI has to be on an STA thread. So single threaded apartment, right? Without going into a ton of details, think UI thread. Because for WPF, there has to be that one singular thread that owns all of the UI objects that's doing the message pump and pushing it through. There's fancy stuff where you can technically have more than one UI thread. Don't jump off that deep end. It's a lot unless you're ready for it. So most people never need it. So in order to have asynchronous startup stuff in my WPF app, I made my main method async, and then I promptly got bit by the fact that when I just changed main, because if all you do is drop the word async here, and make this guy public, right? A regular .NET app is happy to take that as an entry point, but it lies to you because it's not the real entry. Because it sees the asynchronous main and goes, I know what you mean. Let me generate this other stuff up here for you, right? So it's very happy to say, oh, okay, I'll generate this. But when it generates it, because it doesn't generate it with an appropriate attribute, you don't get a UI thread, and then you get random cross-thread exceptions during your startup and your app crashes. And I spent more than 0 minutes because of that problem, and so that's why I changed my template to do this. Is because you're welcome to use this style here. Just know that if you ever need anything asynchronous during your startup, you'll end up converting to something more like this, right? If you don't need any async code during startup, you can absolutely use this thing on the right. It's functionally the exact same thing. So they're largely the same. Again, the big difference being the the subtle presence of this asynchronous stuff that it's doing down here. And the app that I was building at the time, I actually was injecting some extra code here to be able to do some other startup stuff. Um, no video or audio. I'm hoping it's just you, Izzy, because my thing shows it going. My audio is bouncing. I don't know if anybody else can confirm that they actually hear me, but the timer still can. Fine here. Okay. Izzy, I'm going to blame you. You're too far away from me. The entire Atlantic Ocean that's getting in the way. Cool. Excellent. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Yeah, so Neo Midnight, I hope that answers your question. So functionally you can use either. It's perfectly fine. The right hand side is actually, if you find an old version of my template, I think what is in like one of my early versions, and then the later one is just because it didn't quite work all the way. Yolan TV, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. So yeah, that is the only difference between them. But great question. And for everybody who hasn't been on here before, please, like, I always have a pull request or a task I'm working on, but I love questions and I'm happy to rabbit trail on things that people find interesting. So I am easily distracted. I'll put it that way. Um, okay, so inst welcome is what I'm looking for. It exists on the OS X one, so it should be. How is the Windows one working? Does Windows also have it? Oh, it does. That's why it's working. Oh, that's dirty. Oh, that's dirty. Okay. Um, I'm going to put it. I'm going to make a second comment just because I feel like future Kevin is not going to remember this. Uh, so future Kevin's going to need some help. Good luck, Izzy. Don't have too much fun at work and enjoy your weekend. Let's see. Inst readme. I bet you this is the same case. Is this exists on, yep, Inst readme exists on both OS X and Windows, which is why it's only showing up on this one. Oh, that's lovely. Okay. Okay, so there's some subset of attributes that I have added to only some of my commands. Inst license, inst nice. That should fix that. Are we back to our old failure case? I do not know, not understand this failure, and it is bothering me a great deal. Not contain a definition target framework. Fix this already? Oh, apparently not all of them. Try again. Because not found. In rebuild. Really shooting yourself in the foot here. Could not copy. Do I have my own? There's enough MS build magic in this that I can't eliminate me doing or say past Kevin doing something stupid, because that is absolutely something past Kevin would do. Let's see. Project. What is going on? Getting annoyed looking at this, so we're just gonna solve this way. Oh boy, that is okay. So this is once again going back to the abstractions could not be resolved. Microsoft extensions login abstractions. It's looking for the 9.0. And this is on which project? Build test. No, this is not on build test. Which project is it on? Oh, it is on build test. When targeting the Net 10 framework. Call me crazy, but I don't 9.0 fractions. Gotta be buried in one of these. Oh, you. You have a reference. Got it. Gotcha. Okay. So this guy here, why are you? It's only biting me because I revved you up to net 10, and you apparently. Let's see. Let's open the. What do you? At least on version 702, you do not have a net 10 target. They have a net 9 target. Let's see if there's simple answer. There's an updated NuGet package. That would be the simple. Ask Kevin would never. I mean, he has been known to hose me repeatedly, over and over and over. So this is latest. Which is obnoxious. So, but what is his downstream dependency? Okay, so on net 9, it just wants logging greater than. Okay, so we can fix this by forcing Microsoft extensions logging up to 10 on this project. That's the workaround. We'll do logging. I believe it's 10.0.3. You know you've been looking at these versions way too long when you can remember your new package version. Times hosed me. Okay. So ignore you, ignore you. Which one's down here? Diagnostics event log. Do the same thing. log. Okay, because the only reason this is biting me is because the other test projects haven't been revved up this far. They've got this shared directory build props where all these are coming from. Okay. Could not copy, and I'm willing to bet this is because there is probably a custom copy step in my build package that does this copying. Kind of like this. More net 8s in here that I'm going to get hosed by. Yeah. Well, I was going to miss some. And finally find and replace them, but I kind of want to look at them all. And yeah. I understand. Stop jumping. Let me type. And stop it. Moving around and reformatting. Realize, yeah. Okay, so let's try that now. That'll probably get me a little bit closer. Come on. Come on. So let's just copy this guy down. Go to our lovely little VS Code friend. Plop him in. Interesting. 0 hits. That can't be. Where is this file? It's all the way down in VK land. Is that where I'm getting bit by it? Still a bug. Subfolders. Probably fix as long as we're on a net 10 SDK, but I don't know that our GitHub actions are on a net. Well, they have to have it because we're targeting this, so we must have it. Oh, I want to change that. Nope, not the time to change it. Okay, why are you attempting to copy? Where this? Do this real quick. Give me the build log. We're gonna hunt down who the heck is adding these files in and why they need to be there. Somebody is adding these in, and I am shocked that they are. Could not copy the file. So what's actually surprising me with all of this is the path here. Like the pathing of this is actually more concerning to me. Oh look, it compiled just fine. Our visuals. Because there's the MS Build stuff at play, Visual Studio keep MS Build processes running as a performance, which is great until it's not. And so occasionally, if you're doing MS Buildy stuff as part of your build, kind of like same process that is running. And of course, same error that only reproduces in Visual Studio, not on the command line. Excellent. Excellent. Worried it would make. Okay. Fresh. Rid of this guy. And may or may not. Okay. Okay. So I am looking for is this is the guy that is running. So his source file here is this collection. So an MS build at parens indicates a collection of items, the name of it. And by convention in MS build, because there's no access modifiers, anything with an underscore is generally deemed private. Right? Like there is no private or public. It's just if you touch the underscore thing, it's not a supported scenario. Okay. So the question is, given all of those, you can see here what I'm looking for is an add item that in this case the add item is going to current file right in output, which is not really what I want. What I want is source items to copy to output directly. I'm actually looking. Of course not. That would be easy. Fork this project and make a version of it that lets me zoom and has dark mode. I think there's an L button. Do that's it. That is, I don't know that that's what I want. I'm more likely to use the MCP that lets it go in and inspect this rather than just send it. But okay. Um, this guy here, don't see. I see incremental. I see copy. The other thing, we can find the target. Hunt it that way. Big head out of the way. Not that many instances. Gotta be. My fear is that when compiling on the command line, it goes in different paths on MS Build and then doesn't show up. I am noticing a handful of things where I'm wondering if it is related to bumping because VPK doesn't have a 10.0. I am wondering if that is potentially the problem. That something's attempting to do a copy and the wrong file is pushed. Because I am noticing these sources are Velopack.Build Debug Net 9 publish, whereas inside of here, our output is 10. Is if we look at grab everything, VPK depths on. Right, I can see here that ignoring the obj directory, my build directories only have right. So the ones that are underneath build debug, I only have net 9, net 8, technically net This thing is not looking at a published directory. Yes, there is a question of why do the other ones have it, but this one doesn't. Why does it exist in net 9 otherwise? Configs. Torch my build directory. Torch my build directory. Just so when you do a clean inside of .NET, um, it only deletes the files it's tracking. It doesn't delete everything. Ah ha ha! Go. Yeah, how can you manage such a big project alone? It looks too big to handle by hands. Well, secretly the solution there is I'm not doing it alone. So that's dirty secret number one. Um, and it's not terrible. There is definitely a size limit that I think a single person can handle. Um, but I do have a partner. So Kaylin, and to full credit, Kaylin actually does more work on this front end library than I do. Because there's bits of it in Rust, there's Python, like there's just the public library, kind of because it supports so many different languages and frameworks. There's a lot of a little bit of everything out there. Um, Whereas my expertise is more sharp.net space. So while he manages a lot of the front end library bits, I also manage our SaaS hosting backend, which is entirely a .NET based solution. Okay, so that's there. That's there. We're just sure I like that yet. Formatting. Okay, that's revving the versions for it. I still don't like that. I still. Okay. Okay. That goes there. That goes there. That goes there. But yeah, this is definitely at the stage where it is a little. Um, it did functionally come like at one point in time. This was originally based on an old product called Squirrel, but Kalen had originally taken the Squirrel repository, forked it, and I don't know that there's a single line left in this repository that can trace its lineage back to Squirrel. Like we've gutted and rewritten enough of this that I think at this point it is almost all been rewritten. The original stuff had its bootstrapper in like C++ and that kind of stuff, and we wrote it in Rust, and so a lot of this stuff has just been torched and moved around. Okay, so we have the build project building. That is much better. We're going to delete bin log because I don't want to leave that sitting around. I think I'm more happy with this. Yeah. Because when I run this build, is this guy giving me my NuGet package? No. Package. Not see my package. So is it back on publish? Set this up before. That's going to be the interesting part, is figuring out where this guy goes. Just do this. Velopack.Build.Nu. You don't exist. Okay. That's fine. So if I go here, I do source CK, Velopack, build.net. Back with the needle. I would like to look at your nougat package. Okay. Now I should have a nougat package. What? Am I blind or stupid? So it built all of those, but then didn't. None of these are Velopack.Build. I simply. Something? Framework. Thingy. Configuration. Oh, this is. Oh. This may not be right. This is kicking off an MS build of VPK, but MS build of VPK. Oh no, it does have a net 10 target. Okay, we're fine there. Fine. May actually want to dial this back down though. For net 8 runtime. I don't need it running at net 10 level. Ba, ba, ba. Hacking. My something obvious? All there. Oh, do I? Oh, none. That's my problem. I'm searching for the wrong thing. Right there. Let's see. This is not need NuGet package explorer. Winget search it. I need NuGet package explorer because I do not wish to open it as a zip file. I would like to look at it intelligently. NuGet package explorer really only available via the store? Disappointing. We favor not doing Windows Store installs. But okay. Go, go, go. Come on. Come on. You're almost there. 90% is not 100. Go. Okay. NuGet package explorer. Open. And then we take our NuGet package and we go whoop. There we go. Okay. We got a NuGet package. Yay, NuGets. Okay, so the interesting parts here that we are looking at. So one, we are looking at our dependency tree. Make sure that we are referencing everything accordingly. We want both of these here. So anything that shows up in your dependency means that if somebody references this NuGet package, they're going to get these extra packages as transitive dependencies. I am also realizing that I have functionally made this net 10 and net framework, and I may need to dial that down. We'll see. We may leave it as is. Okay, inside of build, the build folder inside of NuGet packages, if you create a build folder inside your NuGet package and the name of the file matches the ID of your NuGet package and ends in props or targets, it automatically gets referenced by the project that included your NuGet package. So this is the dirty trick how NuGet packages can add a lot of fancy stuff to your build process. Right. In this case, we now have version of VPK bundled in. In this case, a net 10 version. Probably fine. I thought I just changed it to a net 8 version. Oh, but it is. Oh, just realizing it. I changed it to the net 8 version here. But I am embedding it in. This does the compilation. I'm now trying to decide. I think I actually may want to do an 8 here. I may actually want to dial a handful of these things down to 8 right after setting them up to 10. I think I do actually want all of these things to be net 8 just for broader compatibility. Trying to decide if I change this from net 10. Probably better if I do. Because net 10 stuff can reference net 8, but not the other way around. In fact, we probably want to do this. That means I got to dial my Lang version back down. Well, probably. As long as we compile with the net 10 SDK, you can technically have a newer language version and an older framework, which is fine. It's just very possible to get yourself into situations where you're not in a supported scenario when you do this weird mix and match thing. Because Microsoft tests a lot of scenarios, they can't realistically test everything. Let's see, Velopack packaging. Guy here, what is your problem? You have a dependency on Velopack, but Velopack should compile net 8. Does. Great. That's fine. That goes there. That goes there. What was there? That just sounds like a build clean problem. This is actually failing to reference. So, and this is, right? So the issue here is available in 4.722, but not 4.8, which means, yeah, file link that we brought in here biting me. Why is this biting me that it only exists? How would this only exist in one of those? It could exist in both. They're both there. Oh, but in one case, we are probably not be found. Are you missing? Available in 4.7.2, but not in 4.8. Oh, because we only file linked in one of the cases and not in the other. So we only file linked here. The reason we did that is because we had a conditional link on our VK reference here. Because otherwise we ran across a problem. This is now only breaking us because of that. I need to actually now check my net stuff to make sure I haven't screwed this up too badly. Well, I actually probably want to dial these all down. Right after dialing them all up to 10, I think now I want to go the other direction. Lovely. Lovely, 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 lovely. Without Ask Kevin, mere minutes, is an idiot. Nope, 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 nope. You know, it's getting late. I can no longer type. Okay, so that goes there. That should fix that build problem because now, there we go. So now in the case of there, so we are going to close NuGet Package Explorer. Run my .NET pack and just verify I get an updated one of these guys. Should get something in the 1238-ish range. 38. Great. NuGet Package Explorer, always. Okay, so now we are probably looking a little better. We are supporting Net 8, 472. Great. Our tools are buried underneath the Net 8 runtime. That has all of those. Okay. That makes me feel more warm and fuzzy. Warm and fuzzy feelings. Our NuGet package appears to be getting built. Let's stage the changes. Kraken, please write me a commit message. I'm way too lazy to think of one myself. We're going to push these changes up. Then I'm going to be discussing it with my partner tomorrow. Show. Thank you. Push those. And then this is still just a draft PR of things to go through and do. I may be fading fast enough. I should go. I probably should. Probably see. Oh, real quick. While I've got people here. I've captive audience. One thing I wanted to highlight. Actually, I will just grab it real quick. For people who are interested, there was a video that I recorded earlier this week as part of the Visual Studio Toolbox, talking about Visual Studio 2026 Hot Reload. It should come out probably in the next couple weeks, probably. So, if you are interested, there I will post it in my Discord under my events channel when that actually comes out, and I know when it is. Or you can go follow the Microsoft Visual Studio channel as well, and you can get it there. Another one that is worth highlighting is this guy here. So if you are doing anything with MCP servers and AI, it is probably worth checking it out. Society Dog, this one may be interesting to you if you are at all interested in giving your AI agents more capabilities of things that they can do. Dan put on an excellent talk on going through and building out MCP servers, which I thought was great. And finally, if you are interested, if you like Dan's presentation, he has his own YouTube channel that he's just gotten started with. So give him a follow. He puts out good content. It's very good. A lot of it is Aspire AI related stuff in that vicinity. There's some web based stuff in there. People who enjoy a little more front endy stuff. So he does a great presentation. Definitely give him a follow. It is worthwhile. I feel like there was one other announcement I was supposed to say. Oh, last weekend of this month, I will not be streaming. I'm traveling to Seattle for a Microsoft conference. So it is whatever the last full week is, the 27th, something or another, that is out there. 23rd through 26th. So I will be gone that whole week, learning all kinds of cool stuff at Microsoft that unfortunately I won't be able to share until after the Build conference, but it will be. So, with that said, if there are things while I'm there, usually there's a bunch of Microsoft PMs and otherwise. So if there's feedback that people have or questions that you would hope get answered, feel free to shoot them to me over on Discord. I can't guarantee who will be there and who I'll be able to track down, but it's usually a good time of a bunch of the MVP getting together, able to kind of discuss very frankly with Microsoft people about what they're doing, direct feedback. It's much smaller conversations than what you get at a normal conference. Like there's a bunch of MVPs, but like it still can be 1 p.m. up against 10 MVP chatting. So always fun. So I think that is all of that. With that, I think I'm gonna go crash. I've been up and going for 18 hours. Probably it's probably time to sleep. Because I suspect my coding skill is going to rapidly deteriorate at the rate that I'm going. So thank you everyone for coming and hanging out. As always, happy coding. See y'all next time.